Who is the best fit for the 76ers? Is it LeBron James? Is it Paul George? Is it Jimmy Butler?
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bet with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hello, I'm Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. We got a lot to talk to you about today. So we want to know who is the best fit for the 76ers, right? We talked about LeBron James. We talked about Paul George. We talked about Jimmy Butler, whoever comes to mind. We're just going to come out there and say who our best fits are. And then secondly, we're going to ask, how will Tobias Harris be remembered in Philly? Initially, a lot of people are going to say they hate him. We know all that. We know that. But ultimately, how will he be remembered, and should he be remembered in Philly? But let's start off, Mitch. You know, when we talk about it, we talk about the best fit for the 76ers. And we all know about Paul George. We all know about Jimmy Butler and Tobias. I mean, not Tobias, but LeBron James. And, you know, there's other guys that we never even talked about. I mean, we talked about here, but a lot of people aren't mentioning. And, you know, I kind of think Mikal Bridges, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying to yourself, and I know that LeBron is up there in age, but if you're saying to yourself right now at this particular time, based off of the things that I saw, and when we look at this, LeBron James was third team All NBA, second, right? But when you look at all this and you say to yourself, you're like, who is the best fit moving forward? I'm going to have to go with him, man.
Yeah.
I know he's older, but you look at LeBron, he would be the point forward that would free Maxey up. He would get guys in their offense, nice passing and stuff like that. He would make things easier for the other two guys. And he has that will to win. He has that clutch gene. I could see him getting on guys, you know, making sure that the culture is right, making sure that everybody practices hard, a lot of things. So when I look at that, that's the guy I think will be the best fit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's look at the pros. If you look at the pros, LeBron James, you just rattled them off. I mean, here's a guy who at 39 is 20 some odd years into the NBA, 21 years into the NBA, who's won championships, who's arguably the most complete basketball player. I mean, he's in the GOAT conversation all the time. He's a leader. He's a culture transformer. So he's got all those things going for him. The negative is that LeBron is 39. And most of the time when we talk about these guys, we talk about their age being an issue. Guys 34, 35. LeBron is 4 years older than these guys. But if you look at last season and then over the span of a career, LeBron, it's not even close between Jimmy Butler and Paul George. And if you look at the way they played last year, you know, it's not really close. They're pros to it. And another thing is he probably won't be on your books if you bring him here as long as those other guys. Although, again, you know, I think LeBron kind of looks at himself in that Brady conversation where he feels like he can play for forever. Eventually, Father Time will step into the ring and deliver a death blow. But I mean, like you said, third team, all league. What are the pros of Paul George? Paul George has been very complimentary of Joel Embiid, who is the alpha. But then again, if LeBron comes here, does LeBron become the alpha? Not because Joel now plays at a higher level than LeBron, but because LeBron is LeBron. So, and Jimmy Butler, I place Jimmy Butler in third position. I look at Jimmy. I love playoff Jimmy, but I don't like Jimmy Butler, who absolutely tore down the Minnesota Timberwolves when and trying to get out of there. And you may disagree with some of the things that Jimmy Butler said on JJ Redick's podcast about the 76ers and their culture, which is something we talk about and take criticism for, because many of people who do what we do suck up to the 76ers on their podcast and are critical of them. But that's not your job as a journalist. So if I would give him a pecking order, Keith, I would, and I hate to come on here and just agree with you, but you have to say for the financial reasons, because he won't be on the books as long, for the chance. Ultimately, the number one reason is winning the championship. He will augment the play of the other guys, and you have a superstar and you have an ascending baby of a superstar in Tyrese Maxey. So it's hard to look at that conversation. You've got to trade to get Jimmy Butler. That's going to cost you. That's going to cost you assets for the future. So I just don't know how it can't be LeBron James, man.
Yeah, it's crazy too. So I looked at it. So we're going to talk about, LeBron is 39 now. So let's look at his stats for what he averaged the last 5 seasons, right? He averaged, over those 5 seasons, he averaged 27 points. He averaged 7.8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1.1 steal, right? Steals. Now, the thing is, so you look at it, last year he averaged 25.7 points in last season. So the crazy part about that, he averaged 25.7 points, 8.3 rebounds, 8.3 assists, 7.3 rebounds. So you look at him like, okay, that's pretty slowing down. Mm-hmm. But his numbers were actually better than the 2020-2021 season, where he averaged 25 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 7.8 assists, right? So his numbers were better. Now, and his scoring average was better than the year before that, when they won the bubble championship, when he averaged 25.3 points. So, it's kind of like, you could say he's slowing down, or you think he is, but over the last 5 years, the guy has been balling. I mean, we're talking about, that 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, that's when he's supposed to slow down. And who knows? There's a chance he could fall off the cliff the next year. But at the same time, for him to be a third option, I don't care who it is, anybody who with those type of numbers and you asking them to come in and be like a third option offensively is going to help your team, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron James puts LeBron James in a Sixers uniform puts the improvement of Tyrese Maxey on steroids.
Oh yeah. Okay, I just want to ask you this question real quick. Of the three, so add LeBron, have a team with LeBron, a pairing with Harden, a pairing with Paul George. Which one of them?
Harden?
Oh, not Harden. But I know Butler. So which one of those three that you think can beat Boston? Match up good against Boston.
It's LeBron.
Yeah.
I think it's LeBron in every argument, and you can't be. This isn't the presidential election where you have two men, approaching 80. And neither one of those two candidates will ever be considered the GOAT of anything. But when you have a guy who's in a conversation with Michael Jordan, and people will say, yeah, maybe MJ isn't better than he is, and a guy who's still playing at the level he is with his cachet, it's no question, it's no question that it's LeBron, and we'll talk about, it's such a juicy subject, and it's chock full of so much stuff. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit more in the second segment. We're also going to talk about Tobias Harris. And how some people feel about his legacy. But before we do that, we want to talk about one of our sponsors, which is FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com to look at odds to include all the time. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? You sometimes have to turn down the volume with all that shouting. Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single solitary day.
Every day, people. Every single. I was about to say every day. But nah.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Mitch, we're gonna get you a new
women and children watch, Keith. Don't do that.
Yeah, Mitch, I think we're gonna have to get you a new co-host. So look, here's the deal, y'all. Tobias Harris, when you think about it, the guy who the Sixers are gonna have priorities, right? The guys to bring back. He's probably the least one of anybody. Like, he's probably, like, if you got a peg or you got to rank the guys who are of importance to come back, Tobias is the least important, right? The way it is. And part of that is because, I think that the way that it ended, the money that he's going to demand on the free agent market. Secondly, the way, and the big thing is, I don't think you can bring him back in Philly after he went over in that game.
Yeah,
the criticism that he had, I feel like that the fans have already turned on him. It's not to the point, but it's similar to how Ben Simmons went out. You knew after Ben Simmons, after that playoff series, when they lost to the Atlanta Hawks, you knew that Ben couldn't play here. As much as they were like, he's under contract, this and that, you couldn't bring that dude back up in here. Like, you just couldn't. You couldn't do it. So with that being said, Tobias Harris, you look at him and you can argue and you can say he lacked aggressiveness. He missed too many bunnies around the basket. And he didn't come up clutch at times, right?
Right.
But then you also look at it and say, like, this is a guy that they had multiple opportunities to trade, and they never did. Now, some of it could have been because of his salary, and maybe teams were leery of that, or maybe they felt like this particular season, they felt like that they could win with him. They felt like he was going to be a good guy. And I think they could have held on to him a little bit too long. But the one thing, John, that stands out, and the one thing that is real, is that you look at guys who just aren't a good fit here, playing alongside Joel. I mean, Tobias Harris was a fringe all-star before he came here, just like Al Horford was an all-star before he came here. He comes here, he's getting destroyed. People saying he can't play. He leaves, he goes to OKC, he's putting up those numbers. People are like, oh, yeah, but the team is BS. And he goes back to Boston, and he's like, yo, where was this Al Horford at? Right. Or even as much as we love Jimmy Butler, I remember covering him that one season during the regular season. There were games he was hot. There was games where he was scoring 3 points. Yeah. And took 2 to 3 shots. And people were upset. So to me, yes, we're going to crucify Tobias. We're going to say this, we're going to say that. But something tells me he's going to go somewhere else and going to have a successful conclusion to his career.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Keith, there are a lot of things to go into it. I think that when you look at Tobias Harris's career, number one, Tobias has won already. Tobias, you know, he didn't draw up that $180 million contract. He signed it, you know. So what's he gonna say? What was Tobias Harris supposed to say? No, I think you should give this money to somebody else who's more deserving than I am. You know. So you signed that deal. You come here to Philly, and in the 6 seasons you were here, you know, it wasn't as good as you would like for it to have been. You know, he averaged 17.6. It wasn't close to what he signed for. He averaged 17.6. But, I mean, he was always there for him. 70 games, 74, 73, 62, 72. You know, so he was always available to them. Did he live up to the contract? No, he didn't. He's not the first person to do that in this league. He's not the last person to do that in the league. I personally like Tobias because, you know, I've gotten to the point in my life where I look at some of the things that you do on the court and some of the things you do off the floor. And I know that Tobias gave back to marginalized people. And, you know, for me personally, when you remove the fandom, giving back to marginalized folks in a country that marginalizes so many people, yeah, I'm all for it. You can call me liberal, you can call me woke, you can call me whatever the F you want to call me. I'm with that. You know what I mean? So,
and they call you woke, they call me broke.
Yeah. Yeah. When you compare people's money to if you're counting pockets, Tobias can call a whole lot of people broke. So, So can he come back here? No. But does he leave here in the same vein as Ben Simmons? No, because Ben Simmons went punk on us. He went punk on Philly. He went kitty cat. He was like, no, I'm not going to play for them. They might call me names when I get on the floor. So, you know, he had, you know, and he's a guy who cheated. Ben Simmons cheated his own talent. You know, he had all this ability and wouldn't work to get better. So I'll never put, you know, Ben Simmons on the same level as Tobias. So, you know, Tobias is going to go down as a guy who never won it. And there is a potential that he can go somewhere, you know, because, I mean, we don't talk about it too often here, but, you know, the Philly fan base, which I'm a part of, you know, and I'm not one of these fake guys who grew up in Plymouth Meeting or Marple Newtown, whatever it is. I'm Philly, you know, and my whole thing is that I've heard people around the league in different cities and say, man, the Philly fans, man, people
don't want to come here. It's hard.
And that's, you know, if you want to wear this, we're tough and, you know, we're nasty, and that's who we are in Philly. We are who we are, but there is a trade-off to that. You know, there's a trade-off there. Everybody looks at y'all and says, man, there's some sourpussness going on in Philly that I might not want to be associated with. Now, we're from Philly again, and we love it, and we're passionate. But if you're not concerned about how other people see you, you know, so yeah, the Tobias is listen. It's not Tobias's fault. They've gone 41 years without a championship. You know, that's Tobias is what, 30, 31? So it was 10, you know, Tobias wasn't on this earth 10 years, before they won their first championship. So he was part of the problem when they signed Tobias Harris. It was not basically that, yeah, Tobias is going to win us a championship. He was going to be a piece of it. Now, the 76ers made mistakes with him. It's one thing to give him that contract. It's another thing to let him play it out.
Yeah. You're right.
And who was that on? That's on them.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you don't pay someone all that money to be a third, fourth option or 4-5. You know what I mean? You don't make all that money standing in the corner. You know what I mean?
As we always say, Keith, that's culture.
Yeah, it's culture. It is culture.
You can argue with it if you want. It's culture.
Culture. Yeah. We'll be right back after this. So, Mitch, we talk about the culture and we talk about other things and stuff like that. And, we talk about, I'm just going to bring this up, like another guy that it's weird to me on how this goes because, and I understand it. I totally do, but it's so funny. I'm going to talk about Paul Reed. And the reason why I want to talk about Paul Reed is I like Paul Reed. I remember not this season that just passed or that just completed, but the year before that. I mean, Paul Reed was selling sweatshirts that said "out of the mud." I mean, like he was telling people to DM him. People would DM him. He would respond to it and get your order in and then mail it to you. And everybody, yeah, man.
Why, he was in the league?
Well, out of the mud. He did it personally, right? So, and then so what happened is people back in Orlando, his family members were the ones who were putting his shirts together, doing all types of stuff. Yeah, they had, and like everybody was complaining because it was, nice quality, thick joints too.
Yeah,
and people were like, yo, they $100, and he was like, yeah, but they're $100, but I'm taking care of the shipping and handling. I'm doing all this, yada yada, and they were good quality. And you saw people having them. So then all of a sudden, the Utah Jazz come up with that crazy deal that seemed like, yo, we want to give them this, we're going to do that, yada yada. Mm-hmm. And I remember everyone was like, the Sixers better match. Yeah. It was daggone near, like they basically forced the Sixers. I'm not saying they forced them to match it, but you know what I'm saying? Like they were like, we don't have any free agent signings. You got to go get this deal. You got to do this, yada yada. Mm-hmm. So he gets the deal. Everybody's happy. He struggles in that playoff series. And then all of a sudden, the same people who was like, Daryl, you better keep him, or like, Daryl, don't bring him back. So, but that's Philly, man.
That's Philly.
So, that's Philly. And like the thing is, like you said, you from West Philly, I'm from Frankfurt, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, this is what we know. Right. But when you think about it, it's funny on how stuff turns. Because, like, let's be real, during Jimmy Butler's regular season, people are like, yo, man, what's up with your boy, man? He shot the ball 3 times. Like, friends who I was cool with. And then after the playoff series, like, oh, we got to keep Bull. We got to keep Bull thorough. Like, you know what I mean? And then, like, in the beginning with TJ McConnell, nah, man, he looked like the cheerleader, man. He looked like a male cheerleader. We don't want him. TJ dove on the floor a couple times. Oh, you can't let him go. You can't let him go.
Yeah, and when he was doing that stuff, the Sixers were kind of in that Ricky Waters for who for what era, when it was just like, I mean, who cares about that organization? They were just down at,
it was crazy, man. It was crazy. So, the whole thing was just crazy. So it's just like, I don't know, like Paul, I think that Paul Reed is a good player. I don't think he's a center. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. He's not a center. And I feel like they was just putting him in actions that he couldn't contend with. Like they was just too big for him, dude.
Hey Keith, let me interrupt you 1 second.
Uh-huh.
He is a center if the Sixers sign LeBron James.
Yeah.
He can play center.
Yeah.
And it won't hurt you.
Yeah, you're right.
Center.
Yeah, but the one thing I just would have loved to see him and Embiid on the floor together more because they look good together in those 4 minutes they had.
Yeah.
But the playoff game they just put him in some bad action and he just looked bad. But I mean, I don't know. You know, I like Paul Reed, but it's just funny how I mean, dude, people are like, you gotta sign him. You gotta sign him now.
B-ball Paul.
Now it's like, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. So like
you said, that's what we can't help ourselves, man. You know, as Philly fans, and it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse because I mean, you know, around the league, when you talk to different media people, that they know that Philly fans are smart. But they also know that the Philly fan is the fan who is at the wedding might have a little too much to drink. You know what I mean?
They don't say like they say like they had too much to drink and the preacher like, yo, does anybody think that he should not do it? Yeah, man, don't marry that bitch. Nah, man. I was with her yesterday.
That's who we are, man.
We are. But you know, the funny part is, I'm gonna tell you this too. Executives told me this, that they when you come to Philly, you want to get on the Sixers early because they feel like you got to have tough-minded players to play in Philly.
Yeah.
Because if you get on them early and they down, and then all of a sudden the fans will start booing on them, like booing them, and it's one of those things that because they knowledgeable and they like, yo, it's unacceptable. And they say it take a strong dude to be able to overcome it. Like it got to a point. I think that really impacted Al Horford. Mm-hmm. Like, yo, I'm a Sixer. They booing me at home. Yeah, you know what I mean.
It hurt his sister's feeling. Wasn't his sister going back and forth with Philly fans?
It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, man. The whole thing was, I'm like, dog, you didn't know that when you signed here?
Yeah, you knew that.
They gave me that bag.
You weren't paying attention, brother.
But look, he won though because he got paid. He got paid, and he getting his incentives for going to the championship and stuff like that. So like, life is good for the Horford family.
Life is,
you know what I mean? Look, I don't remember seeing Tito too many times walking behind him like he is in Boston. But who knows? Maybe he was pop. But you know, it just seems like, you know, my man is enjoying life, and more power to him.
Yeah.
At this point, you know, if he wins the chip, great for him to go out because he another older dude that's balling still. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's still playing well.
Boston got it right in the front office, man.
Oh yeah, they do.
You say what you want to. Boston's got it right in the front office.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We got to.
Yeah.
All the mistakes the Sixers made and all the things Boston got right. It's funny. The Sixers had the first overall pick in back-to-back drafts, and Boston had the third overall pick in those two drafts. The Sixers draft Ben Simmons. Boston got Jaylen Brown, the richest man the richest contract in the NBA as of today, all NBA dude. Ben Simmons missed a bunch of games recently, right? Then the Sixers drafted Markelle Fultz the next year. We all know how that one ended up. And now they got Jason Tatum, who will have his jersey retired.
You're hurting my ears, man. The truth hurts.
And look, you remember when Doc even came out and said they messed it up? Yo, it's like, how you gonna have the greatest in the history of the franchise saying, nah, y'all drafted the wrong dude.
Y'all got the wrong one, baby.
Yeah, it's
Julius
crazy.
Winfield Irving.
Nah. It's crazy though. But we got to deep dive into that tomorrow. We really do. But look, y'all, I want to let you know that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts on Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. So I would like to thank y'all for listening. And for me and my man Mitch, we both want y'all to have a blessed day. And it's Thursday. So for people in the summer and this time, this is the start of a 3-day weekend for a lot of people. So we want y'all to have a great weekend and do whatever you want. But just don't be some of those people down in the shore fighting on the beaches now.
Yeah,
it's like, yo, what's going on, man?
Jason Kelsey's wife, even.
Yeah, ain't crazy, right? The lady got mad because they want to have a date night and they didn't want to sign. It's crazy. Yo, it's crazy though.
And you know what's funny, Keith? She told them, she said, "You'll never be welcome again in this town." Listen, it's Margate. The Kelseys can go to the south of France if they want to. They're doing y'all a favor.
I know. That was crazy. And not only that, it's like, and it's funny because she did all that, and you used to see all the people apologizing and saying, you know, the Kelseys did nothing wrong. They did anything. Like, you know what I mean? But let's tell you this, Jason Kelsey's wife looked like she stands on business.
Yes, she does.
Dude, I was like, yo, like she looked like she stand on business.
She wasn't having it.
Nah, I mean, the lady must have said something because, like, when you think of those two, you know, they're the nicest. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I remember Jason Kelsey came to the Sixers game. He sang the national anthem. His wife was there, of course, but he had media availability. And dude, he was like the nicest, that most down to earth guy. Heck, his brother Travis and them that season, they kept coming to games. Like when the playoffs, like after, and it was kind of sort of like there was a playoff game that they were at, and it was like it was like not this season, but last season. When I saw them at these playoff game, and they sat in the front row, but they were like among the people. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? They were just hecka cool. I wanted to say, you know, the other one, so I cut it short and say hecka, so don't get in trouble.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so they were like mad cool. I mean, even down to the brother was walked up on the concourse. Like instead of using the restroom, he could have used the restroom like in the VIP area.
The stars
walked up on the concourse and was mingling amongst the people, right? Yeah. So when I see somebody coming at them and making it seem like they're like uppity and all that and don't want to do it, nah, that's the wrong folks, man.
That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong dude. Like my man goes, he does drive-through at Mickey D's, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Nah, don't try to label him that way. But I tell you what, his wife stood on business, and you know, and more power to them.
Hey, Keith, she was coming forward. She was coming forward like Bernard Hopkins. You know what I mean? She was not stepping back. Good for her.
Yeah, exactly.
And your man.
Well, they real people, dog. They real people. Yeah. It is what it is.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, exactly. Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. But all right, y'all, have a great one. Peace.
And they're gonna miss him.
Yeah, they will. They definitely will. Good luck to Saquon.